Hello guys. Hello guys. Welcome back to lecture series on computer networks and security of first module, that is application layer. Just for the takeaway for today's session, let me recall what we had covered in the previous session. Okay. The first important protocol of application layer, that is HTTP protocol, we studied in the previous session. The basic functionalities of HTTP protocol with two important versions. One is HTTP version 1.0 and HTTP version 1.1. Okay. And also we studied two important message format. If you want to perform any HTTP protocol operation, we require the client and server. The client has to send a request message and the server has to reply back with response message. Similarly, in case of HTTP protocol also, the request message format and response message format is very important. Okay? In the previous lecture, we studied request message format. Okay? In this lecture, we'll study the response message format and other aspects of HTTP protocol. Okay. In the HTTP response message format, mainly consists of three important parts. One is status line, header line, and entity body. In status line, we have the protocol followed by version, followed by the status code, followed by the value status code. In this example, you can see here HTTP protocol 1.1 is the version, 200 is the status code. We'll study the different status codes shortly. And when the last data has been modified, what is the content of the length and what type of data. Let me go with one example corresponding to this HTTP message format. Okay. For example, I want to search the photo of Sachin Tendulkar. What I'll do, I will go to Google, I'll type Sachin Tendulkar. By default, an HTTP request will be bombarded to Google server. Correct? No? For example, you open the Google Chrome and you type Sachin Tendulkar image. Okay. Immediately it will send a request to Google server, and the Google server will respond back with this response message. Correct? Therein which the Google server will check out the status format in this method. The first line is if the recent photograph or the any related information corresponding to Sachin Tendulkar is present, and we'll get the status code as 2008. Okay, that is we get the request by reply back. Okay, when the data has been modified, what is the recent image? That data we are going to have. Okay, the corresponding data we are going to have. Okay, so that information is called as last modified information, and this date is when on that date we are going to get the response back. Okay, and at last we have the content length, what is the size of that image and what type of image it is. Okay, this is an example to explain the response message format of HTTP protocol. Similarly, as we have HTTP request message header format, and similarly we have also HTTP response message header format. Okay, so same kind of the previous one, the same thing. If you can remember this is the same thing, which consists of status line, which consists of version, HTTP version, space the status code, space the phrase okay, the server error and other things. Okay, followed by in the header lines the header file name and space the value. Similarly, all follows by carriage written in left factoring. At last, the body of the data, okay, the image, video, text, what you are going to get back to the reply, right? That is the entity body. So this is same as of the message format itself. Okay. And as I explained you people that will get some status code here, right? These status codes are represented by numbers. That number is called as status code. Okay, for the corresponding status code, there will be some corresponding status messages. Okay. If it is 200, the server is running fine and we got the reply. Okay. If it is 301, somewhat some problem with the machine and it is moved permanently. If it is 400, bad request. If it is 404, the request it is not at all found. Okay. If it is 505, the HTTP version itself is not supported. Okay. From this numbers, what to understand from this numbers, I had taken only 5 examples. The numbers that starting with the lesser number 200, 205 and all, they will be having fine, the server is working fine and they'll be not having any problem. When it moves to 300, some small problem with the server they have. When it moves to 400, server has been affected drastically. When it moves to 500, it talks about the HTTP protocol itself. It's not working. Okay, it's about the numbers which are represented in case of status code. Okay, I think you might have been heard of this status code in many of the examples when you are fetching the data from the server. Okay, so these are some of the status code example which you can able to learn here. The next important topic what we can see is called as cookies. This cookies and the next couple of topics what we are going to study, all these topics corresponding to HTTP server itself. Okay, and we all know about HTTP server is stateless information, stateless protocol, which does not store, which does store the previous information in the local server, by which we can also correspondingly increase the performance of the network. Okay, with the help of cookies also, we can able to increase the performance of HTTP protocol, by which instead of storing the instead of fetching the, for example, let me give an example so that you'll understand how cookies work. Okay, for example, I am working in a network, local network. Okay, I requested with the help of my machine, I requested some gmail.com, and the request go to the Google server and it will reply back. Okay, and whenever the request has been fetched back from the server, that request will be automatically recorded by the local server, local devices. Okay, so in the second iteration or in the next day or some other day, until unless this local server has been removed or local server data has been removed, whatever the request you're going to fetch, that will be never sent to the server as it is. It will fetch the data from the local server itself, there in which we can achieve or we can improve the performance of the network. Okay, this local server data, what it's going to present is called as cookies. Okay, cookies has been introduced with the RFC number 6265. Okay, cookie also have majorly 4 important components, and we can also call cookies as temporary objects. They are not permanent objects. They are called as temporary objects. Okay, cookie can be divided with 4 important components: cookie header line in the HTTP response message, and cookie header line in the HTTP request message, and cookie file kept in the user end system and managed by the user browser and backend database at the website. Okay, so for the better understanding of these 4 important aspects of cookie technology, let's see one example, very important example, there in which we can able to understand how cookies works. Okay, so we can see here, okay, so I am the user and I want to fetch the information from the server. Let me assume this as a server. The user want to shop the data, shop some kind of entities with the help of eBay website. He will send the request, he will directly take the data from, usual HTTP request message, and he'll get the response message from it. Okay, and the user also wants to see the Amazon website in the meanwhile. Okay, usual HTTP request is sent and he'll get the response message format. Okay, what the logic of this? With the cookie number 8734, I have with eBay. With the cookie number 1678, I have the Amazon. These two has already recorded in the local browser, local server. Okay, a week later, after some days, the user want to fetch any information from eBay or Amazon, they don't want to fetch the information from the actual server. Instead, they will fetch the data from the local server. Okay, where it's going to have a cookie of 1678 and it's going to have a cookie of 8734. Okay, so we can achieve the performance instead of fetching the data from the actual servers which is present very remotely. Instead of that, we can able to fetch the data from the local server. We can get the correct the data fetching information will be very faster, and we can achieve the performance enhancement with the help of cookies. Okay, this is one of the typical example keeping our state information with cookies. Okay, these are the states which are present in the local server. Okay, which present in the local server. Okay, so this is the why they had explained with the help of this example also. I mean to say the server creates ID 1678 for user, and it keeps the data of 1678 in the local backend database. Okay, and whenever the user want to access this website, it will never go to the actual server. Instead, it will access the data in the backend database. Okay, so this is see, you can check out here. A week later, if any information you want to access, they can access with the help of local database. This is the better example for cookie, but make sure that cookie are not permanent. Okay, cookie are temporary memory. Okay, whenever the user want, it will be first. Whenever the user completes the operation, the cookie will be deleted automatically. Okay, so this is what exactly by which ultimately the main goal of cookies is to enhance the performance of HTTP protocol. The main fundamental uses of cookies are authorization, shopping carts, recommendation, and user session state. Okay, authorization is nothing but whenever the user want to authenticate himself to any server, he keeps on authenticate every time whenever he logged in or whenever he wanted to fetch the data. With the help of cookies, we don't want to authorize with respect to server all the times. By default, with the help of local cookies, the username and password, everything will be recorded. Okay, that is an important operation wherein which we can avoid we can avoid the security threats also, and we can also achieve the performance enhancement. Okay, for shopping carts. Okay, wherever we want to buy any product, we are very much intended. We don't want to go for the carts again and again. If you would have added those items to the carts, it will be present. And also, cookies helps us to recommendation operation. What is the meaning of recommendation? For example, if the user buy, for example, a cricket bat from Amazon. Okay. Well, how the recommendation system works? Based on the previous history, the user, the Amazon server will recommend what type of product user may request. Okay, the server will suggest the user depending upon the previous history. That is called as recommendation. What is the meaning of previous history? It's nothing but cookies. Okay, along with that, each and every time we don't want to enter the email address and password for respect to email, as it is going to save the session state. These are the fundamental advantages when it compares with the existing system, as we have the much advantages compared to the old HTTP protocol, and with the help of cookies, we are going to have these advantages. Okay. The next important operation what we have in case of in case of HTTP protocol is web caching. Web caching is a mechanism in which instead of the local server, whatever the previous as it's similar kind of cookies. I can explain you people in this way. I have a client. Our client will send a request and he'll get the reply back. He will take the data from the original server. Whenever the client or other client want to send a request with the same request, he will never send a request to the original server. He will take the request from the local server which is already present. Okay, see, this is the fundamental advantages of web caching. Web caching is nothing but what? Sending the web, you're browsing the data again and again. No need to send the request to the actual or virtual server. Okay, and web cache has its own disk storage and keeps copies of recently requested objects in the storage. Okay, these are the fundamental advantages of web caching. They in which ultimately what is the main goal of us? We can enhance the performance of HTTP protocol with the help of cookies and also with the help of web caching. Okay, web caching is also not permanent; they also temporary operation. Okay, and web cache acts as both client and server. Typically, cache is installed in the ISP, called as Internet Service Provider who are going to provide the service at the universities, companies, and all. Okay, by which we can achieve some of the advantages with the help of web caching, reduce response time from the client. For example, you can assume here itself, sending the request from this client to the server, it will take some time. Correct, no? So sending the request, for example, with the help of this, sending the request from here to here, it will take some time. Okay, and fetching the reply back from here to here, it will take a lot of time. Okay, instead you can assume here, sending the request from here to here, it will reduce the time, and getting back the reply also, response time also, it reduces. That is one of the fundamental advantages of web caching. Okay, reduce traffic on an institutional access link. Correct, no? So whenever the traffic is very high, instead of sending the data request from here to here, the many requests are sending the request to the server, actual server. So instead of this, we can access the data from the local server. Okay, internet dense with caches enables poor content providers to effectively deliver content. That's also one of the fundamental advantages, wherein which with the help of proxy server, we can able to provide effective delivery of the content. Okay, and at last we have one more important operation of HTTP protocol called the conditional get. Conditional get statement will always update the previous data. For example, as I took the example of Sachin Tendulkar, the data is very old, immediately the data will be updated. That is the fundamental meaning of conditional get. It will always keep the objects to keep up to date. It will always keep the data objects up to date. This mechanism is called as conditional get statement. Okay, how this works? It will verify the dates, last modified dates of and current modified dates. It will verify those things. If it is previously modified, it will give the new results as the new data. Okay, conditional get is telling the server to send the object only if the object has been modified since the specified date. Okay, so this is what about conditional get statement. I had given the insight towards web caching, conditional get statement, cookies, how cookies are used, and the response message format of HTTP protocol and status code of HTTP protocol in this lecture. If you have any doubt at any point of time, please put up your message to my mail ID. And thank you so much for patience listening. Thank you so much.